The pesticide Roundup produced by the multinational concern Monsanto is the most widely sold spray in the world. Monsanto made its canola resistant to Roundup. This means Roundup kills every plant without exception. Only Monsanto's genetically modified canola remains alive.
It was introduced without really much testing being done, and I think even at that time when it was introduced in the middle of the 90s, that even the governments were taken in by what these corporations told what it would do, like increased yields and less chemicals and more nutritious. And I think the governments even believed the corporations.
In 1996, the chemical giant Monsanto introduced its brand of canola into Canada, a brand resistant to the pesticide Roundup. In Schmeisser's region, 3 farmers agreed to plant Monsanto's new GMO canola. Due to a heavy storm during the harvest, freshly cut GMO canola drifted into Percy Schmeisser's fields. His work of 50 years of breeding was destroyed because his harvest was contaminated by Monsanto's seed. Contamination and destruction of his own breed was irrevocably damaging to Percy Schmeisser. But on top of that, Monsanto turned him, the victim, into a culprit.
So if you didn't buy it and plant it, how could Monsanto sue you for using it?
Well, they said that it does not matter how it gets into any farmer's field, and they specified just what I said before, cross-pollination, seed movement, and so on. And they charged us that we were growing their genetic altered or GMO canola, as we call it in Canada.
Explain what a GMO is.
Genetic modified organisms, and what that really means is that they took a gene from another life form, put it into canola, which made it resistant to Monsanto's herbicide Roundup.
Large areas of Vietnam were deforested by the U.S. military using Monsanto's Agent Orange. The toxic herbicide reportedly caused over 50,000 birth defects, as well as hundreds of thousands of cancers in Vietnamese civilians and soldiers, and in former American troops serving in Southeast Asia. Unlike the Vietnamese victims, U.S. Vietnam veterans exposed to Agent Orange were able to sue Monsanto for causing their illnesses. Monsanto settled out of court, paying $80 million in damages, but it never admitted guilt.
BST, trade name Posilac, is being used in more than a quarter of the dairy herds in the United States, according to Monsanto. The milk has been drunk by a large portion of the American population since the Food and Drug Administration declared it safe for both cows and humans 4 years ago.
And at that time, Monsanto was saying, there's no evidence whatsoever of any adverse effects. We don't use antibiotics. And this clearly showed that they had lied through their teeth.
Of course, you'll want to inject Posilac to every eligible cow, as each cow not treated is a lost income opportunity.
But the problem was that use of the artificial hormone caused all kinds of problems for the cows. It caused something called mastitis, which is a very painful infection of the udders. When you milk the cow, if the cow has bad mastitis, some of the, and I don't know how to say this in a, I hope people aren't watching at dinner time, but the pus from the infection of the udders ends up in the milk, and the somatic cell count, they call it, the bacteria count inside your milk goes up.
There's a cost to the cows. The cows get sicker when they're injected with RBGH. They're injected with antibiotics. We know that people are consuming antibiotics through their food.
Bad for the cow, bad for the farmer, bad potentially for the consumer. The jury is out. We see a lot of conflicting evidence about potential health risks. And of course, as a consumer, my belief is, why should I take any risk?